Coming up on the next episode. Good morning, YouTube. Here with you on a Tuesday. It is 10:35 now in the AM. I am here. I'm here to explain the fact that I am not the smartest person in the world when it comes to electronics. I know many of you guys think that I am so smart. It ain't happening. All this came about with this dual DC PS2 that I keep talking about for the MFP. Now, as many of you know or probably have experienced over the years, you get a notion in your head that circuit will operate a certain way, and you just think that's the way it works. Well, that's my problem. I'm going to take a look at a diagram here. This is a center tap transformer power supply, and it is what they call full wave rectification. Now, if you look at the two sides of the secondary of the transformer, you see there's two separate, well, they appear to be separate windings. They are not separate windings. This is one consistent winding with a center tap. Now, where my confusion came in, all this time, the whole reason I had wanted to have two voltage system here, the fact that I thought, and this is where I was wrong, I thought the output of this circuit would provide greater amperage at the RL than one configured in this fashion. Let's see, here it is. Now, this fashion is a full wave bridge rectifier. Okay, that's the difference there. The center tap you can see right here is not even used. It's just going across here. You have your two windings, actually one winding. That's my confusion on this. The output capabilities of this, as far as amperage is concerned at RL, is really it's the same as it would be for the other one, because basically with the other one, let me look at it real quick. You just have, a half here and a half there. The big thing about this design is it allows you to get a full wave rectification out of a center tap transformer, and that's all it really does. As far as the current capabilities of this transformer, you're going to have half your current here and half your current here. And when you combine them, you have the full current of this whole winding of here. And that's what you get with a full wave bridge. So there is no difference that I can see, unless somebody else has something that I don't know about. There's a very little bit of information about this on the internet as well. They cover the fact that, the difference in the voltages, obviously. The voltage from this is going to be half as much, theoretically, as the voltage from the full wave bridge output. That's the only difference. This was used in the old days for tube circuits. And instead of when you had a transformer without a center tap, you used a half wave. And that, the capability of that is going to be the same. It's just going to be less, as far as, I said the same. It's not going to be exactly the same, but you know what I'm saying. It's going to be basically the same, with the need for more filtering and stuff like that, as far as the rectification and smoothing of it. So basically, like I said, I was under the misconception that this would provide a greater current output at a lower voltage. And that was the reason for my wanting to design this. I figured I would have one section that put out, we'll say, whatever, 330 volts at, a certain amount of current. Whereas if we switched it to the high voltage section, which would be 660 volts, but it would be a lower current. And that's not the way it works. So there is absolutely no need for this. There is absolutely no need for the switchable power supply. Simply using the full wave bridge, we're going to get the same capabilities, 0 to 660, out of this one without the switching, without any of the other crap involved, and a lot of less circuitry. So basically, I think we're going to go with this instead of the other. Now there is one more one more thing I had. This is where the confusion came in on my part. If we look at this transformer here, now you can see that this transformer is not a center tapped, but it actually has two secondary outputs. Now here you have one, and here you have one. Now you can wire it. Excuse me. You can wire it just to be the same as a center tap. In other words, if you combine these two here and take the output from these two, it's the same as a center tap. It's no different. But if you wire them in parallel, as they are here, you can actually get twice the amperage. You see right here, you get 4 amps out of the two windings, whereas when they're wired in series, you get double your voltage again, but you only get 2 amps. So that's the confusion I think I was under. I kept thinking, a center tap secondary is the same as two separate winding. It's not. It can be wired that way, obviously, but it's not the same. So sorry for everyone's. I know there's people out there, and Jim Hasbell. I want to bless his heart. I want to thank him very much for his offer and actually providing me with a circuit that would do this job simpler of switching between the two. But Jim, it was actually your circuit that got me to scratching my head, wondering why I was even doing this. So, like I said, I am not the smartest person at all when it comes to this stuff. I have, over the years, built up on my head way things that I thought they were, and they're not. Always. Sometimes they are, but for the most part, no. So, like I said, this is why guys, if you guys have another explanation for this as far as, is that right or wrong, there's not very much information on the internet about this. I mean, like I said, you look at it and you can see that obviously you get the voltage differences between the center tap and the full wave bridge and stuff like that, but it's just not clear on how this affects the output current. So that was my confusion all along on this, and if there's no difference, in other words, if you wire it as a full wave bridge and it provides the same amount of current output as the full wave center tap does, there's no sense in having both of them on there. There's absolutely no sense in it. The Variac, like I say, will control the 0 to whatever the output voltage is, and if the current is the same between the two setups, there's no reason for the second setup. Period. In my book, anyway. So, like I said, I've been laboring under a misconception all these years, and I had a few when I attended electronics technical school. I had a few notions in my head that I had a problem with my teacher getting them out of my head. And this, I think, was one of them. And I don't know that they ever did actually convince me that it wasn't this way, and so therefore I have just kind of stayed with that conception of how things operated, and it's not. In other words, when you have a power transformer and it's rated a certain output, across the secondary, it's generally the secondary. It's not, they don't measure it in, the half of it's available on one side of the center tap and half of it's available on the other side of the center tap. It's the full secondary that they're rating. It's so. The only thing different is when you split that voltage in half, you're splitting the current in half as well. So instead of having, if just say there's 8 amps capability of across the entire secondary, well, you're going to have, if you split it with a center tap, you're going to have 4 amps available on one side and 4 amps available on the other side. And when you combine them, it's going to be basically 8 amps and at the lower voltage. But it's no different than the other way around. So I don't know how to explain it any better than that. And maybe I'm wrong on that. I don't know. This is why I'm making this video, because I don't understand all this stuff. And we looked at that output, or the transformer with two secondary outputs. Now there's another thing. I do know that if you run them out of phase, you get 0 out. And I've done that. You don't want to do that very often, or very very long period of time, just for a quick test maybe. But that will heat that transformer up pretty quick. So you basically, it's just like anything else that you run 180 degrees out of phase. You're basically canceling out each other's signal. That's the same with audio or anything else you put in. If they're identical signals as far as outputs, you run them out 180 degrees out of phase, you get nothing out. So, anywho, that's just a way of thinking of it. And so, like I said, when you wire those two outputs on a secondary in series or parallel, you get the difference of amperage and voltage. So that's what I was, I guess, trying to come up with in my head or whatever. But for my purposes, the dual DC power supply 2 will no longer be dual. It will be single. So that in itself really uncomplicates a lot of stuff for me. And so I'm happy. And I set this all up with the original dual DC power supply, and no one was the wiser. That's the thing I don't understand is why really no one asked the question of why you're doing this. And I kind of don't understand that, because if you look at it, what's the need for having two different supplies if there's no difference in the output? Anyway, I'm still having problems wrapping my head around this. And again, I want to thank Jim Asbell for his circuit that he sent me, and I'm sure it works fine, but I don't need it because there's no need for it. That's just the way that works. Unless you guys have something else that I'm not aware of, that I didn't become aware of, I should say, just let me know. But again, I think that's going to do me. I have some things I need to do today and get my work done, and I've got a late start anyway because I didn't sleep well at all last night at the beginning, and then I finally caught hold late and then didn't get up till late. It was like after 9 for the time I got up. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So you guys, like I say, this is just an extra video on my stupidity. And there's really no other way of looking at it in my book. I mean, that's just what it is. I mean, it's just, again, you get a notion in your head, you think that's the way it is, and it's not always the way it is. So, you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see ya!